it's not that you haven't seen Muslim artists. Muslims in hip-hop, that they've always been. But what you've seen a lot over, so many years is convert Muslims. And it's a difference between convert Muslims and those that would consider themselves sons or daughters of a community. So, like, I'm a son of the community, Imam Vladtv Muhammad. Parents in it, went through transitions, and, it went to Sister Claire Muhammad, elementary school, that type of stuff. Like, I was raised through it. And there's things that somebody who was raised up like that, things that they would know, historical things, who the different groups that have always been allies and friends, and then other groups that have consistently been shown themselves as more like enemies, and different things like that, and how those groups were able to come together and set aside their differences. And that a convert wouldn't know that. So it's like when you see hip-hop artists that are converts, it's a blessing, but at the same time, you don't know which way they gonna go. Like, it's really like for a community to stand tall, you need people the people that's holding that community up are definitely those people that have grown up in it. And so when you don't hear that in hip hop, it really hurts the overall message, or really the diversity of Muslims, especially here in America. And some of it is self-inflicted wounds. When I was coming up, in my 20s, it was highly competitive. So what we did, Imam Muhammad's community would invite like the best artists of all the different communities. So we would be at one of our conventions, and you might have like a group called Remarkable Current. That's, well, I don't know if it's a label but it's ran by a guy named Anis Cannon, and he had artists named Tyson, Mikal, Kamasi, and Isa. And then you had another group that came from out of, I want to say either Philly. I think Philly is M Team, and they like Hispanic. And then there were other groups, but then you had us, and it was me, Modern Day Prince. It was Kadar Gigante from Harlem. You had Kasib from Harlem. You had Bilal that came from South Carolina. And you had others as well. But when we all got on the stage, like, we going back to back to back, and it's not a competition like I'm directly competing with you, but you got a melting pot of like the best. So you can't just get up there and just do anything, because everybody just like, and in some cases, like when we came up, it was more like you only had the opportunity to do one song. Some people would get up there and they would get to do 3 songs. You had to choose like what one song you was gonna be able to do to rock the crowd, and that builds you different as an artist. So what happened was, our community was inviting everybody, but people started, some people got money. We don't know how they got their money and backing them, but they throwing concerts, and they invite the lesser artists. They don't invite the best artists. They invite the lesser artists to make themselves look good. And it really destroyed the culture of, Muslims, and that was in hip hop, because we were on a level where we could compete, and we had our own niche. We could compete with any artist out there, whether they Muslim or not. And they did that around the country. And then so you would have some, and then so people was getting specifically invited to places where others weren't, when those weren't the better artists. And so people looked at it, what it does is just lessens the whole thing. And it just started dying down. And some of it is, you know, when you invite an artist that comes from the community, Imam W.D. Muhammad, you know, people from other communities may not want their kids to identify with that artist, but they listen to everybody else's music. And I was always taught, you know, if your faith, whatever your teachers are teaching you, if it's that weak, so where somebody else could come in and, you know, do a song, rock the crowd, and they so influenced that, you know, they switch up, you know, their belief system, then there must be something wrong with the way you teaching it. That's not on that artist. You don't not invite the better artist. That's how you just, you kill the whole genre by having that type of attitude. And my community never had that type of attitude. Man, I could tell you times where there's major events going on in Atlanta, and you got artists from Muslim artists from all over the place, and they all spending the night at my house. Like, I mean, like 10, 15 deep up in my house, sleep. Like, that's the culture that I was taught. That's how I was taught to do it from a community perspective. So, you know, when that's not done in return, it changes the culture of how that works. And so when those artists who did that, when their careers dropped, everything dropped. For me, I had to step back from it for a while so I could finish school and get my degrees. But it wasn't like, you know, I wasn't leaving, you know, hip-hop or none, and not leaving, you know, representing my community. That wasn't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.